Sound check, testing. Testing sound. Testing sound. I'm not getting sound. Testing. 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 There we go. All right, do we have sound? Testing. All right, there seems to be a big lag. Let's see if we can pull this off. Testing. Testing. There we go. All right, do we have sound? Testing. Hello and welcome to the live stream. My name is Lane here at Road Dog Crypto. Seems like we're experiencing a little bit of lag, maybe a little trouble in the live stream. Just bear with me. Apologize for that. Just came on to say happy Bitcoin Day. And let's talk about that for a second. Let me get to a good screen here. All right, so for those of you who don't know, back in 2008 on this day was the day that Satoshi Nakamoto released the Bitcoin white paper and began the revolution of the entire world. So happy Bitcoin Day. All right, so let's just go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. That is the biggest thing that's going on right now. So we had a good run here, starting, the 24th, we got that spike up. We came up here, we hit our measured move. Or no, I'm sorry, we did not hit it. We came close, just a little shy of it. But we did get up to around 21,000, a little over that. We started pulling back, then we came back right up again. And so we're kind of zigzagging in this area just a little bit. What I would point out right here, since I'm on the 4 hour, is what has tipped me off was connecting this high to that high. See, we got a little bit of an elevation there. It's not a flat line. It does have an elevation going to the upside. Also down here on several different indicators, from the stochastics leaning toward the downside, the momentum waves also leaning toward the downside, and the biggest one that I always try to look at is the RSI, which was also from top to top moving down. Now that makes something that we call bearish divergence, which means that we will get a leg to the downside. All right. Now currently, where we are at the moment, and we have not really confirmed a turnaround point. Now our Bollinger Band right here, they're starting to get a little bit squeezed. Now this is implying that we may get a bounce here at this area. It is definitely a possibility, and I do trust Bollinger Bands quite a bit. However, it could also come on down and the Bollinger Band can just kind of open up a little bit. That's something that we can see too. So we can't just go by Bollinger Bands alone. We got to look at some other things going in our favor here. One of the things I want to bring up is this golden cross right here on the 4 hour, which is a very important time frame to acknowledge this particular indicator, this particular cross, because that indicates more bullish action. Okay, so when this happens and we're above that 200 EMA right here on the 4 hour, that's a bullish sign. Now, if you see this happen on the daily, that's an extremely bullish sign, and that's what I eventually hope to see happen with Bitcoin. But, with all the things going on with FOMC coming up, all these things being released, especially this week, the market, the majority of the people, or persons in the market right now, we're leaning more heavily toward institutions. So we're a little bit more aligned with their think and how that they look at things. And they're, of course, looking at the overall Wall Street market. So it does bear into play here at the moment with Bitcoin. Back in the old days, trading Bitcoin, it really didn't matter at all what Wall Street thinks. So this is good news and bad news. It's a little bit of a trade-off. We wanted the institutions and the big money to come in. They're here. And we're having to kind of adjust to the way that they interpret the market and the way that they trade this. And they're leaning toward this more as a stock rather than what it's designed to be. But they're learning. They're starting to get a little bit of a clue, I believe. So what I want to point out right now is that going from this bottom to where we are now this is leaning toward the upside. And if you will check out the RSI, that is going toward the downside. Now that is hidden bullish divergence, which also kind of lines up with the Bollinger Band that we've got right here at the bottom there, that we could actually get a bounce in this area. So we could be heading back up to this trend line up right around 21,000. Definitely a possibility, but we need to look at the bigger time frames. So when we go to the daily, we can see right now we're a little bit bearish, right? So we have rising prices, we have falling volume. That means that this uptrend that was moving up toward 21,000 earlier has gotten weaker. Hey, there's Leandro. Hey, Leandro, how you doing? Good to see you, man. I don't know how you're so good at catching my streams and things. Can you do an update on DOT and Osmo? Yeah, I will definitely do Osmo. I plan on looking at Chiliz too. That's probably going to be the first one I look at after Bitcoin. Then yeah, sure, we'll move right on into DOT and Osmo. But continue with Bitcoin, we got that DOT on Market Cipher right here. Stochastics are kind of up there toward the top. Money flow is starting to circle down. VWAP has crossed over this line here. These are all bearish signs that we're getting ready to get a pullback, okay? So we're kind of in an iffy area. The biggest points that we want to look at for Bitcoin are these weekly support areas right here, or these daily support areas, I'm sorry. Right here, just right above $20,000. And I've got a couple of different areas right here. So this is really a zone that we're looking at. And let me just go ahead and grab this rectangle here and mark this. This is a possible bounce or retracement area that I'm looking at, just right above 20,000. So what the daily is telling me that we could possibly come back to these areas, and that could be our bounce. Let me turn the Bollinger Bands off. But before I do, look that now on the daily, the Bollinger Bands are widening out. Okay, so when you're using Bollinger Bands, what you want to look for, because they get a little tricky when they start going up to the top of this line. See if this blue line I've got right here. Now, when you see candle closes above that line, that's a good indication that this trend will continue. But here, we got to close below it. And so that means that right now we're getting ready to come back down, more than likely toward the middle of the Bollinger Band. And that's just how that they work. It's a very good indicator. I use it extensively on my phone when I'm trading on the exchanges. I don't use it so much on my charts because it just kind of muddies things up a little bit, but it is a great reference to use to get a feel for what's going on with Bitcoin. Very, very good indicator. So it's suggesting, if I can find my little paintbrush tool here again, that it's starting to curve up just a little bit, but price action will probably come back down. And that does kind of meet right over here in the area that we just looked at, around 20,000. Now, RSI is currently coming in at 63. Now, that's good. It's not too oversold. When we start getting 70, that's when it starts, needing to cool off a little bit. So not terrible on that. And our MACD looks, histogram's coming down a little bit. We can expect these to come down. So I am seeing that Bitcoin, will kind of basically just trade sideways, probably at a higher range is what that I'm getting. But going back to these slower time frames, like the 4 hour, it's showing signs that we might get a bounce here. The Ichimoku cloud is thickening a little bit, so keep your eye on that, because price does like, when it starts getting thick, likes to start going into the cloud, and then that starts bringing us toward a downtrend. So coming back down to these levels is definitely flirting with that idea too. So this is going to be critical if we hold this area around 20,000 to see whether we get a bounce up or whether we're looking at some more downward action down to the 19,000 area. So overall, everybody's just a little bit nervous about Bitcoin and crypto in general, and you can kind of see that reflected in the market. The thing we want to keep an eye on is the DXY, the dollar index, which did break out of this rising channel here. There are measured moves for this, but this one has not been strong enough to come back down. And just to be honest with you on this, if we zoom out on the dollar, see if we can go to the weekly time frame, you know, we're working our way up to this July 2001 high when it reached 120. And hopefully we can find some rejection around here somewhere and not start working back up to these January 1985 all-time highs. But if you look at, and let me turn the Bollinger Bands off here. If you look at this pattern, this is the weekly, you know, I would argue that this makes a very nice cup and handle, okay? Because it definitely has taken, the strongest ones take a long time to form, and it definitely does have that rounding shape. I would argue that it probably comes up through here and that this is the handle. But looking at a measured move from this, how we would typically do it, we'd take it from the right lip, that area comes straight down, apply that to the top, and it's suggesting that we could get up to this area about 133, which would be horrible for stocks and Bitcoin. So hopefully we can see something give. One thing that I am looking at is a little trend line magic here, which comes up to 116. That's where I'm hoping that we will see a rejection right there. Trendline magic does work pretty awesomely. Now, I also want to redefine this by taking that, bringing this down, and it beautifully defines this channel. 3 touches there. Did a little bear trap, or did a little bear trap right there, started coming up. So I think this area about 116 may be where we're headed before we actually see a break to the downside to these lower levels, maybe, hopefully, to maybe 104. If we see that, that's going to be great for Bitcoin and altcoins in general. Now, taking a look really quick here at Bitcoin dominance, because that kind of plays over to our altcoins, how well that Bitcoin dominance is doing or how it's not doing. And let's go over here to the daily. And Bitcoin dominance has been falling. Pull up our indicators there just a little bit. Now, it does have some positive signs coming for it, and it looks like we're getting bottoming out here. It may get a rise up. We should be coming down to about this 40% area because we came down out of a rising wedge. So it could possibly be falling still for yet a few more days, and it makes sense with the news that's coming out in the markets this week. It's just going to be kind of a topsy-turvy week in my opinion. But hopefully, what the charts are telling me that we could possibly get our bounce here, and then Bitcoin dominance would start rising back up. Now, if Bitcoin dominance does do that and rises up, altcoins are going to take a hit. However, as Bitcoin dominance comes down, altcoins should be doing fairly well. You should be able to see some profits, especially into the Bitcoin pairs and somewhat into the USD pairs with that. So that is one thing I'm definitely keeping my eye on there. The only other thing that I believe we need to take a look at before we get into altcoins is the total 2 market cap. And Leandro says, advantages of a home office. Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, I've even got my Halloween pajamas on. I work in my pajamas, folks. If you ever wondered, now you know. All right, let's take a look here at total market cap. Okay, now it's got a good thing. We got a major trend line right here. And I would zoom out. It just goes huge. It's in a falling wedge, kind of like Bitcoin was, kind of like a lot of these things are that we've taken a look at. That's a pattern that you see on a lot of coins. that big falling wedge. We broke back into that. That's a great sign. We're retesting this daily 100 EMA. Another good sign. What we'll look for is for total 2 to eventually make it back up here to 655, which is this yellow trend line, this yellow EMA at the 200. What we want to see is for it to hold this area, move up here, break that support and hold that. Once it does that, it is officially in a bullish cycle, okay? As long as we can stay above the 200 daily EMA on anything, we're officially bullish. We're just not making it there, but we did get this beautiful leg up. However, on our indicators at the moment, it's running a little bit high. We're starting to get a little topsy, so we can see some sideways movement, I believe, right here. But what I really want to see is for us to hold this area right here around, what is this, 561, and our EMA is coming in at 569. So at the moment, fairly decent on crypto market cap. A lot of money has been coming in, especially over this weekend. So we just got to see how things play out for this week. All right. Now, the first thing I want to take a look at is, let's go ahead and take a look at Chiliz. If I can find it on KuCoin, that's where I prefer to look at. And I'm just not seeing it there. So we will go to Binance here. Great exchange. I just don't have access to it. Chiliz has got some good signs going on. This is on the daily. We're above the 200 EMA. So with the World Cup coming up like that and things like that, definitely people are looking into Chiliz. Leandro, I get the strangest spidey sense that you may be a professional football player. Am I correct on that? All right. There we go. There's a trend right there. So for Chiliz, I would be looking for it to eventually make it back up to this area right here. About 31 cents is what it looks like. Things are looking really, really nice as far as the EMAs go. Stochastics are kind of pinned to the top, but that happens a lot. Really want to pay attention more to our RSIs, which is in a good zone. Chiliz is looking good. Even with all this craziness going on, you know, it's got potential to come up, and I can see it at least coming up to about 31.3 cents right through there. See if we can go ahead and mark that area. About right there. And let's go ahead and pull a Fibonacci here. See what it says. That would be the 1.27 at that same area. Yeah, I think it's this likely. You can also mark this 1618 because that's where it will try to go to, which would be trying to get a higher high than we had over here. So possibly up to 35, 36 cents for Chiliz there as possible targets. If you're trying to take profit and wait for it to come back down and maybe get back into it. Now, one thing to notice about this particular pattern that it's in, this is a bearish pattern. They have a tendency to break to the downside, but as you can see with the crossing of the EMAs, that's very bullish. At most, what I would expect to see is a retest of this area about 19 cents if it does decide to come back and just kind of solidify this as a support resistance area. But I think it's already done it right here on the daily. Came up, came back down to that area. I think we are good for some upward moment. Let's see what the Bollinger Bands say. Bollinger Bands are squeezed. It's kind of leaning toward that theory too. From what I can see here, Chiliz is looking like it's headed to 31 cents. All right. And Leandro says, and I live in Brazil, so imagine football is like religion here. I'm Argentinian and it's in my blood. I'm kind of thinking that's probably a yes to the question then. We may have an international famous person here. How awesome. So I don't know how you feel about giving out information, but whether it's a team you're on, or how about just mentioning your favorite team? Who are you for? Okay. Now, let's go ahead and Leandro asked for DOT and Osmo, so let's check out that. I did take a look at Osmo a little earlier. I didn't see very much going on, but we'll definitely look at that again. It was recently added to Binance, and I believe they got the trading pairs up. But for the longest time, and by design, you could only get Osmo. I think there might have been a little bit at Gate.io with something that they had going on back. But it was basically at the Osmosis Dex, which was really an ingenious move to keep it there. But now that it's spreading out to some other exchanges, you know, I've got a lot of hope for Osmo. I actually really do like that Dex and project, and I was very fortunate to be in on that with the airdrops. All right, so DOT. Let's go here with KuCoin because I've probably got some TA already right there. Turn off our Bollinger Bands after we take a look at the tops of the Bollinger Bands. Not quite closing above it, though. So that's worth noting right there. And looks like all this that we did was on a smaller time frame. The larger time frame stochastics are still tied to the top, and that's just what happens. The RSI is coming in at a decent place. So we've crossed over this 50 EMA on the daily. So its next target should be trying to get up to this area, about $7.23 right here at the 100 EMA. So let's go ahead and mark that. Leandro says, my team is Independiente. Awesome. I'm going to have to check that out, Leandro. I had a feeling. Okay, on DOT on the daily. Now we do have this pattern that's, we'll get more information on the smaller ones. I got two different things going on here. Got a trend line here, which puts us into a channel. If I can grab it, did not copy it, that we may have broken out of. Now that could be bullish. And I think this is a point that I meant to make on Chiliz that I forgot to, but the pattern that it was in, that upward channel, when they officially break to the upside of that, they can have a tendency to start moving parabolically. So, and Chiliz was in that same formation there, which it looks strong. With DOT, we'll have to look on some smaller time frames here. On the daily, things are still looking fairly well for DOT. A little slowing down there on the MACD. The volume's starting to fall a little bit. Price is going up, so this trend is starting to get a little bit weaker. Let's go down to the 4 hour. Okay, here is that line. Okay, let's take that back down here. Get my angles right. So that follows that line, that trend. We take that same angle, move it up here toward the top, and we've broken out of that. Ichimoku cloud is moving toward the upside, getting a little thick. So it's kind of some sideways moment, but still we've got this still kind of rising wedge pattern falling there. So we may see a retest, and that looks like what it may do is come back down to this 200-day or this 200 EMA on the 4 hour. We may see prices drop right back down to about 636, possibly just to retest and solidify this area. That does take us out of the parabolic situation. But if it stays up here over this line and continues up, that will be very, very bullish and very strong. And we would see definitely 723 out of that. So it's kind of hinging on this top trend line right now. If it breaks that, we can look to coming back down possibly to this area at 636. Let me mark that. What happened to my line there? And then possibly coming down to our weekly support at 616. But at the moment, it's looking good. Do have the red dot printing on market cipher there, signaling a downturn. And looks like it just now broke back into that pattern, didn't it? Okay. So it is flirting with this trend line. And like I said, if we can break and hold it, things look really good. If we come down here, especially if we break this trend line here, expect more downside, but it doesn't look to be too exhaustive. Looks like we might get a bounce somewhere around 635, or at worst, maybe come down to about 618 on PolkaDot. You're giving me hope. Let's see. According to my amateur TA skills, Dot could be getting it. Oh, good 750. Yeah. I think from what I can see, Landro, your skills are just getting better all the time. So I wouldn't put 650 out of the cards. I've got a trend line here, so it may not quite make it up that far, but it would definitely need to shoot up. It would need to shoot up above $8 really to start making this more of a bullish trend. We need to get a higher high right here. I don't see the strength at the moment to do that, but it looks like we're trying to gradually get there. So yeah, I would keep an eye on this area right on these two trend lines. And let me just go ahead and mark that, because that is making a bearish pattern. If we do the bigger move there, I mean, there is still the possibility to come down to 588 if things go kind of sour this week, but I'm not seeing that yet. There is some divergence here, and I'm on the 4-hour. Prices going up. The RSI right here is coming down. Okay. So that's a bearish sign right there, and that's kind of, I'm looking about 637 probably before the end of the week on this, unless we can hold this line, and then we got a shot of shooting up. But man, the divergence is telling me probably coming down to the downside. Divergence is one of the best indicators that you can have. It's the closest thing we got to a crystal ball. But yeah, it wants to. It was trying to make it up there. But I would love to see it go to 750. But in best case right now, I could see probably rejection about 726 and a likelihood to come down just a little bit over the next few days. But it's looking much better than it was, because we did drop down here to 580, and that one actually took me by surprise there. By the way, your TA on OP was perfect. I got to $1.23 and did a pull. I got to $1.23 and did a pullback. Sad I didn't take a short there. I did not take a short there either. I'm currently in some very small shorts on Bitcoin though. Do you think it's a good idea to try to short on DOT if it loses the rising? Yeah. That's a great pattern to take a short on if it does do that, because it will. They have a tendency to come back down to its origination point. They have measured move too. It's basically the same. So actual measured move takes us down to about 588, 590 in that area. But it should get a hiccup right here, 638, and that 200 EMA right there on the 4-hour is a big clue for that. So I would be looking at that EMA. If we break below that, well, that means that we're going bearish, and then that would be most likely to come down to these lower areas. So if you were going to short, I would look at this area at 636 as a possible take profit area, and then if it continues on down, you can short it again and go for a bigger move. Shahida, welcome. How you doing? OP, I will definitely put that one on the list. We were just talking about that. Leandro, I believe, asked for another one there. Trying to go back into the chat there. Got a little chat box I'm looking at. Let me drag it down here. Maybe I can see it a little bit better. Osmosis. All right. Okay. Yeah, Shahida, I'm more than happy to do OP. Let me go ahead and get Osmo out of the way for Leandro, and then we'll jump right into OP. Now, Osmo is not one that I actually trade. It's one that I use on DeFi, and That's my biggest DeFi play here, and I can't credit myself for that. I have to credit them because that airdrop helped me, and I just worked the system. It's been amazing. I remember when they first started, June 21, with their pairs, the interest that they were given was crazy. I think it started around 8,000 or 10,000%. I mean, it almost looked really too good to be true. And then, you know, how it happens, it just drops, you know, tapers off fairly quickly. I got in when interest was about 4,000%. And, you know, that trickled down it took about 3 weeks to start trickling down to 1,000 or 500%. The returns on it was just crazy. And they still got decent returns and everything. All right, so 4 hour. I wasn't seeing anything really majorly impressive other than we're just in an upward channel with Osmosis at the moment. And I would say that has a lot to do with it being listed on Binance. But this is a coin, I mean, it got up and easily held above $10, and I foresee it doing that again. They're doing something kind of unique with their tokenomics. Like Bitcoin has a halvening, this one has a thirdening, and I believe that's every year. So they just limit how much is actually released for staking and things like that. So it's, you know, it's going to diminish over time. I mean, so overall supply will increase, but the rate at which they're released, that will be diminishing. That was a great move right there. For it to jump up to 262, oh, that could have been a moon bag for a lot of people right there. On the 4 hour, I mean, you know, it's looking good. Let me take a look at the daily there for our EMAs and everything. We're above the 100 EMA. We're holding that. On the daily, that closely resembles a bull flag. So there's a possibility, depending on how you measure that, but a little bit more of a conservative one, from the close there could possibly bring us back up to around the $2.02 for Osmosis. And again, when you see these rising channels, they are typically bearish. Now, they usually break to the downside. I think it's about 64% of the time that they break to the downside. But on those cases where they break to the upside, price usually goes parabolic for a while. So if we can break up above this and hold it, we could definitely see some big areas, probably more than likely coming up to this area around $2.70. Let me mark this one at 228 to this wick high right over here, because this line will start coming down, and that might be a good intersection point at 228. But we'll also mark that area at 270. Those are some possible targets for that. It's a very interesting move on that wick. If we were to apply a Fibonacci to that, and that gives us another target, 618 right here, about 206. So that kind of coincides with what we're talking about there too. Just based off that, a hopeful move could be $3.07. I'll mark that one. But I think that's just a little bit off in the future there. On the daily, though, we do have that red dot on market cipher. So definitely people have been taking some profit. And that looks a little bit bearish to me right there. MACD starting to come down a little bit. Let's go back to our 4 hours. Look at all those wicks. Wow, that is some crazy. Now on the DEX, you don't see that much fluctuation. So we can tell that by it going to Binance, there's a lot of traders, playing with this idea right now. But it came back down on the 4 hour, retested the 100 EMA, got a bounce off of that, had no problem bouncing back through the 50. Red dot on market cipher, it's holding this area. I would look for maybe $1.34 as a possible retest area to get back into that. And I forgot what we had on our, how does that line up with our Fibonacci? This area, the 886, and that's also top of this area right there. That would be a good area, about 126. So possibly what can happen is that we come down and retest this area, and that lines up with our 200 EMA on the 4-hour. Could be a retest there. So the signs are showing that we may have some sideways or some down action. The 618 and the 786 and the 886 are some good areas to look for. Possible entries if you're trying to accumulate this. This one is actually, it's a little tricky to read. Best I can say is sideways. And it is, as you look at it, it's a symmetrical triangle. One of my least favorite patterns to trade because they can't make up their mind what side of the road that they want to be on. So it's more than likely sideways is what I see out of Osmosis. And I lost my chat box. Where did my chat box go? Now I can't see what people are saying. Give me just a moment here. There it is. Move that to the top. Okay, now we're good. Okay. Thanks for the insight on dot lane. No problem, Leandro. Okay. XDB dropped so bad. That one has been kind of disappointing for me. I mean, overall, I still got some hope for it, but yeah, it's been playing kind of wild. And that's one I want to take a look at today too. 419. What? I love this chop. Well, welcome to the stream. Need to go back. That's good. LOL. Need to go back down to at least 0030 so I can buy a lot. Nice. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at Optimism. Okay. 4-hour. Looking fairly decent. The biggest thing, again, we got that golden cross. Love those. Those are always a great sign. Now, the angle that they're crossing, you know, is starting to round out a little bit. So there's a good possibility we can come down and retest these areas at, you know, at worst, oh gosh, 91 cents. We want to stay above that 200 EMA. So if it does decide to come back and retest this, which at some point it will, they always come back and retest at least the 200 EMA when they get above it at some point. But we're doing really good to bounce off this 50 moving average. That's a healthy sign that we could get some more upswing. That's good. Ichimoku Cloud's getting a little bit green, and, you know, we could be flirting with the idea of coming back into it, but it's starting to shrink up a little bit. That is an indicator when that happens, it will get thin, and then we start moving up. So that's a possibility just going by the indicators alone there. All right. What I really want to do is take a look at the daily. I like to start with the bigger time frames. When you watch people who start with the smaller time frames, say 15-minute or whatever, they'll give you their scenario, which can be bullish, but when they finally start zooming out, you'll see them change their tune and they have to change their whole strategy. Always good to start with your bigger time frames and work your way down. The bigger time frames always trump the smaller ones. The smaller ones can influence the bigger ones, but, you know, the bigger ones are the big daddies. When you got to listen to what they say. So if the big ones are telling me that we're getting ready to take a dump, I'm going to believe that we're probably going to be coming down a little bit. And that's what it's saying with the market cipher with the indicators here. They're getting a little heated, need to come down a little bit. Let's do something here. Let's draw a trend line from that top to there. And there we go. There's our divergence. So price is coming down and the indicators are going up. And do I have our little divergence cheat sheet? Where are you at, cheat sheet? There we go. And it's hard for me to point it out on my screen. My cursor doesn't run over it. I have to look at the streaming sheet screen. Give me just a second here. And for some reason, I'm not able to move that. All right, so it's annoying right there, though. So I'm trying to move the little divvy cheat sheet there. And there we go. Nope. There we go. All right. So price action from measuring from the top. So we're looking for bearish trends, and that will be on the right-hand side of the cheat sheet right here, the bearish side. Measuring from the top, coming down, and the indicator's going up. So we got some hidden bearish divergence there, and that just means, hey, we're at the top of our trend. We're going to come back down to the bottom of our trend. So we figure out our trend, which is our channel. I'll make a copy of that, Control and mouse click, and beautiful. 1, 2, 3. That's a very solid touch there, where it just rode the line. So that's our actual formation that we are in right now. And we will be looking at coming to halfway point right here. That would be a partial decline. That would be a bullish sign. If we catch a break here in this area, we could get a move up, and that's around 84 cents to 90 cents possibility. Otherwise, if we do not hold this area here, we're coming back down to the bottom of the trend line area. That was kind of a weird look. Possibly making a lower low somewhere around 55 cents on Optimism. So good time to think about taking some profits. Now, I was looking at this area for support. Now let's also look at our EMAs, because that's a big clue too. That's also coming in just right above this area. And so that is another indicator that this might be our bounce point. Now let's quickly throw up a Fibonacci here and see how that, what kind of confluence that gives us. That would be at this 0.5 area, which by Dow theory, when you have an impulse move like this, price is usually seen to retrace to the 50% area that's fallen in line. So my best guess is that this area around 92 cents will be where we get a bounce. If that does not hold, we're looking at 85 cents at the 618 EMA. And if that doesn't hold, you know, you have to start eyeballing the 786 and the 886, these areas right here, which would bring us all the way back down. And then also the possibility coming back down to the channel. Now, this falling channel is a bullish pattern, and they have more of a right around the 68% chance, 68% chance to break to the upside. So a partial decline here, getting a bounce there, would lean more to that theory that we're getting a bounce up, and then we get a measured move that we can take for the channel. And let's say if we break out in this area, which would in line bring us up to the 1618. So things are showing me that it's more likely for that to actually happen just by going with my indicators and the confluence I'm seeing. Is telling me that's likely to happen. We could be seeing $1.38 again, and we could get rejected there. But if we carry on, we could make a higher high right up here at the $1.58, $1.59 area. So OP, even though on the daily we've got the red dot and it looks a little bearish, I think from what I can see, good chance that we get a bounce around 90 to 93 cents. And then for more upside, it looks good. And did I just lose my chat again? I'm going to have to move that somewhere else. All right. Sorry, I wasn't talking about, I was talking about XDB. And we'll take a look at that. XDB has an unlimited supply. The last one I looked at that, it was about 5.5 million. Probably need to revisit that. I'm not big on unlimited supply coins. When should we take an entry to OP? Okay, so entry, I would be looking at waiting for around the 90 to 93 cents, just to see. And to play that safe, you would wait till it hits that, and then we start bouncing up. That would be your conservative entry on that, to wait for confirmation that it is actually going to be moving back to the upside. Otherwise, it's called catching a falling knife. You're just putting an order in there and letting it come, and you know, it may shoot below or it may bounce there. So if you want to play it really safe, you would wait for price to come down there and then confirm that bounce. And if it gets above if it comes down here and then it gets above the 99 cent, the dollar area, some people would wait to that point to actually enter. So you kind of just have to tailor it to your own risk factor, I guess you would say. Because if you just blindly put an order there, I mean, you're taking the chance that, you know, it may plow through. But in my strategy, I find that I do that quite a bit. I don't always wait for the retest. Although I think it's smart to do that. My dude, I've been shorting XDB for a long time, LOL. The project isn't dead at all. I bought a lot at the all-time low. Oh, wow. Yeah, you did good. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look at that. XDB DigitalBits. This one, I was on a live stream and someone asked for me to look over it, and I did. And what I saw, I kind of liked. I think it was already working on its pump, and I actually got into that, and then I sold. Where was this? Oh yeah, right down through here. I sold at 8 cents. So it had already pumped and it was coming back down. We're looking for areas to get back into it, and I believe it was right here on this. It made a bull flag, and so that's when I got in, and then I got out, and then when it came back to this area, I started reaccumulating, and then it just, you know, it decided to do this crazy. Looks like a double bottom is what it's trying to do. So and 419, you said you got in, I'm guessing you got in right around here about 002, 001.5, somewhere through there. Oh, wow. You played that very well. That's easily over a 10x if you took your profit up through here. Very good play. Some people might see this as a company handle. I totally do not. So what I'm looking for with this, we got our support right here at 0042. And even right here, that makes a range. Right here makes a range. And we may see, it's starting to look like this might shape up just to be a range that we're going to trade inside just by going for support and resistance right there. And okay, we are under the 200, so yeah, we're in definitely bearish territory. 4 hours showing us a red dot market cipher. Money flow starting to, well, money flow is kind of hanging even right now. On the daily, I'm not seeing things standing out that's telling me we're just going to get a big pump to the upside on this. So this one's been a very interesting play for me. If I had to redo this again, going back to my original analysis that I did on this, which was looking bullish at the time, but I broke a cardinal rule of mine. And of course, it's just staring me in the face every day. We had this parabolic move, and we were breaking just below it, and the indicators at the time were giving me hope that we could break back into it. And the rule that I broke there is once we break this parabolic line, that move is over. And I've been kicking myself every day for not sticking to that. And that's part of growing as a trader. You're getting to see me reinforce my own TA and my own deviation from a TA. I should not have made that call because that has just been downward action from there. And that's typically what you see when you break a parabolic move. So this one is just coming down and going sideways. It looks like we're trying to pull a double bottom right here. And let me find the right things I need to draw with. So a bottom here, possible double bottom here. That's what I'm seeing here. We got some divergence. We got some bullish divergence that's coming in on the 1 hour. So price action coming down here, and on our RSI, price action is coming up. And I can't draw it, save my life. that's a good sign, and that kind of confirms the double bottom theory. So we could be looking for it to come back up to about 0.008. If it does, I will probably be taking profit out of this and getting out of this whole trade because I'm just not impressed with the price action I'm seeing here. And I may kick myself later for doing that because it may just skyrocket. But I'm just not thrilled with the price action. When I trade, I want to see results from my trade. I don't want to see it keep going back down into the bottom areas. That I'm not here to just hold these smaller cap coins. I'm here to trade the smaller cap coins, and it is not giving me the results that I'd hoped for. So yeah, I'm losing a little steam on DigitalBits, unless it can show me something just really bullish over this next week or so. My plan is to go ahead and just take profit on this one at 0.008, and that will be a winning trade for me. But we got to break out above this area. 0.058 right at 5.9 and get above that 200 EMA even on the 1 hour. So I'm going to go ahead and try to mark that area. And that is a messed up looking line. What happened there? There we go. Let me just lock that and do a little more analysis here with Fibonacci. So that line I just drew is at the 382. And we do need to get above that. Wow, Fibonacci's lined up really nicely here. 618, this might be an area where it decides to bounce to the downside. So I'm going to look and see how profitable I am there. I was starting to buy right around through this area and even on down. So as far as what I'm doing, I think selling at that area, if it does not break above it, I'll still be coming out good on what I was working on. So 007 or possibly up here to 008. And those will be my take profit points on this position. Let's see. And 419 says, understandable. Wait till 004 and then start DCA. Is that what you did? You waited until 004 and DCA'd? Because I think we were getting in right at 5.5 cents when this first came to my attention there. So about 5.5 to just a little over 6 cents is where I was getting in on it. All right. So DigitalBits, and let me go back here to the daily because I do always like checking against the bigger time frames. Pull up Market Cipher here just to get a little bit of information. What I do like about this on the daily, the VWAP is starting to come out. Stochastics are bottomed, okay? Not quite ready to get that turnaround here. Not quite ready to on the momentum wave to get that green dot, but it looks like it's coming, and I would next couple of days. So it seems like everything's pointing to see what happens with the Fed and all that on the second. Everybody seems to just be skittish and waiting for the second. So I'm not seeing any great moves happening on much of anything until all of that stuff is kind of sorted through, and then the market adjusts for that. Okay. All right. But if anyone has any requests, by all means, feel free to ask. I love going over coins, especially things that I don't normally trade. So I like learning new things there. XRP is going to be the next one that I look at. And let's start that on the daily as well. Daily's got the red dot there. Stochastics are working their way down. Volume's coming down. Price is coming down. That's not bad. It's kind of looking like a little head and shoulders formation going on right there. It does does technically have a neckline. So if we do not hold this area right here at 44.5 cents, we could be getting that breakdown to right around 33.5. Let me make sure we've got, let me adjust this measure move here. There we go. So right in this area right here could come back down to about 36-cent area if this support does not hold. So let me take a look on the smaller time frames and see how this head and shoulders kind of plays out, or how it looks. Shoulder, got the neckline, technically a neckline. It's a wick, but that counts. It has technically made a head and shoulder pattern. And 8 hour. Other than that, I'm not seeing very much that's saying, hey, I'm bearish. Little green coming in on the Ichimoku on the 4 hour. That's the biggest thing I'm looking at, is this support line right there. Our 4 hour, we just dropped below the 200 EMA, and we could come back above that. If we do, that's a good sign. So I'd be looking at trying to get above 46 cents and holding that. But if we drop below, let's see, this area right here, our neckline about 44 cents. If we drop below that, then I'd see more downward action. But if we can maintain 46, 47 cents, there would definitely be some more upward action from there. And I'm going to get rid of this trend line and kind of redraw this. See what we have on a higher time frame. Oh, that's where it came from. Close to close. So let's do a little channel test there. Take that, copy it, bring it down. Do we have confluence? Yeah, we do. On the 4 hour, that touch, that touch, that touch, that touch, that's a good sign for a bounce. And this is similar to what we've seen on some of the other coins we've looked at. Upward channel. It's a bearish formation, but if it does break to the upside of this, things will go crazy and shoot up, and that would be awesome. Could that be playing into the scenario that may happen later this week or early next week? I mean, I don't know. We still got a lot of indecision, a lot of things a lot of news that we're waiting to come out and see how the market reacts to it. On this, it looks, and we've got some divergence there on the 4 hour. Okay, so that's telling me we got a chance to come up on this thing, maybe up to 55 cents. And I hope, Lucy, if you're watching, if you're still in XRP, that's kind of what I'm seeing. We've still got that chance, like we talked about before, to make it up to the 55 cent area. XRP is actually, it's looking bullish to me. As long as we can hold above 46, 47 cents, break back above this 200 EMA on the 4 hour, I think we're golden to start heading to the mid 55 or mid 50s in that area. All right. Well, thank you for stopping by, 419. And that's what you're waiting for personally. Okay. For it's dropped down to 004. Whew. That's a big drop for me. Okay. So next coin on my list is QNT Quant. Okay. Checking a few things on the stream here. Let's start out with the daily. QNT Quant. That is one I do have a moon bag in, and then I'm slowly trying to acquire some more because this thing has just been a powerhouse, let me tell you. So it is broken market structure right here. That's one of the key things that I look for. Drawing the trend line when we're kind of up on a very strong move. When it breaks that, you know, that's a good time to get out of your position or plan on figuring out a place where you can acquire more. We just kind of been hanging sideways there. I think since the last time we even looked at this, the area I'm looking for to add to my positions, if we come back down to around the $150 range, and that's this 618 area, we're holding the 0.5 area on this move very well. This should be an area that we get a bounce. So we're looking at what, $1 or $167, $165 right in that area. But let me go ahead and mark this one right here. Likely to get our bounce here. The daily indicators are looking good. Look at this money flow. Quant is looking strong. Money flow is in the green, and it's even angling up a little bit. That's positive. Stochastics are at the bottom, got a bump up. Money flow, or VWAP, this yellow area right here is getting ready to cross. Green dot's coming in a couple of days here on this one. This one's looking good to me. Quant's just been holding strong. It's just been a tight-in. So we can get rid of some of these other lines we got drawn there. So possible to get a bounce there, possible for it to come back down to this area 151 if this area does not hold. It's looking good. The lowest I would look for is probably a retest of this area right here. That will be our major support. So, you know, if things do start going south for it, you know, we could see 128, but it's looking good. What could happen, since we did break this area and we could get a retest here, what tends to happen is we'll go back up and retest this trend line. Now, we could get rejected from there and could do like a double top scenario. We'd have to look at what divergence is, what's going on with divergence compared to this top and wherever this may come up to. But I'm seeing this on a lot of coins too, especially like Atom and Cosmos, where we broke below our channel or our line there, working on a retest, and we will go back and retest that trend line at some point. And that's what we got to be mindful of. Are we going to break above it, or are we going to get rejected at that? So I'm going to put this as a possible target area about 194 for Quant. Possible take profit area. We won't know until we actually get there whether it's going to go up above that or get rejected. More than likely, though, the way it's playing out, and with the Ichimoku cloud kind of thickening up there, that may be a rejection point, at least for the short term. Okay, checking chat. All right. So overall, Quant still looks good to me. It's just been trading sideways, but showing a real sign of strength holding its position there. Next one on my list, we already did DOT. I'll be looking at ALGO Algorand, and that's Binance U.S. Algorand has been doing good. Last time we looked at the possibility that it could come down and retest this trend line. It decided, no, I'm going to go with this whole bull flag theory. So let's come down to a smaller time frame, and so we can actually see what happened there. So I was looking at it possible getting rejected here and coming back down. It decided to say, no, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to do my own thing. So it made a bull flag. And that's got potential upside. If that bull flag does hold, we could be looking at a target of about 40 cents there. So go ahead and mark that. Let's go ahead and get rid of these projected lines there, because it clearly did better than what I had thought. And 4-hour golden cross going on right there. So it is possible more upside. If we do make a pullback, we're looking about 34 cents or retesting that 200 EMA, but we're above it right now. That's golden. How's it looking on the daily? The daily has broken above the 100 EMA. That's bullish, and it's holding it well. So if we could maintain 34, 35 cents or more, if we can hold this area, we got a chance for some more upside there. I'm checking for divergences. I see nothing there on the daily that's going to hinder us. everything seems to be in line. Nothing competing for divergence. It looks like it's got some more upside. So I'll be looking at 38 cents, possibly up to 40 cents for Algorand. That looks good. Daily indicators on this are showing some strength. So I'm glad I was able to get a little bit more of it right through here when we dipped into the accumulation zone. This is a long-term hold for me. It's not really a trade. We did have a measured move from the pattern that it broke out of here, this falling wedge pattern. Measured move, conservative one took us up to 44 cents. Other measured move took us up to 49.50 cents. So those are some targets that's in play for Algorand. More than likely, we'd be looking about the 44 cent area as this 200-day EMA is just slowly making its way down as it starts to curve wherever. But that looks like that would be the most viable target to be in just a little over 44.5 cents for Algorand in time over the next few days and weeks. Next one I'm going to take a look is Atom Cosmos. Shahida, could you also check time? Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and do that one now. Will FOMC meeting impact quant? There is no telling. It will impact everything. That's just how it works. Stocks, crypto, whatever. Since we're so much, a lot of the money coming into crypto now is basically from that side of finance. They're still going to have that mentality of how to trade it. So yeah, they're going to be skittish every time that the Fed speaks. But it's looking strong. Quant's looking good. If someone was looking to get into it, I would still be looking at these ranges. I'll borrow you. Got off that coin, didn't I? QNT. Where were we? Let's just go to finance. That's a nice looking bull flag there. I would look, if you're wanting to get into this for a long-term hold, I would just keep your eye out on the daily 200 EMA, because eventually it will come back and retest that. If you wanted a safe play of getting in at the best time, I would keep an eye on that. Now, and the reason I say that, because the way that these are crossing makes me think that we might get a little bit of a pullback or retest of this area. So about 136, but this may be, further down in the month if we ever see that retracement back to these areas. But that's what I'm looking for, to actually get a good foothold in this. If we come back to these areas, I'll be picking some up. As it is right now, it's still just a little too high for me, because these were some of my sell points to take profit points, I think, back through here. So me getting back in at this point myself, it's like I didn't really do much profit-wise. But I am curious to see if it comes back to around the 136, that range. All right, and you were asking for time. Now, that's one I'm not familiar with. Thank you for bringing that up. I like checking out new stuff. And it's on QCoin with BTC pair and also dollar pair. Chrono. Okay, that's interesting. We are under the 200 EMA on the daily. Let me go to the weekly. Interesting. So we came down to a bottom here at 20, is that right? $21? And now we're holding the support here at 54. Wow. Anybody got in down through here is doing really good with this, aren't they? Okay. So that's the weekly. Let's go down to the daily. It's just really been going flat, huh? Okay. That's actually a good sign when you see things go flat for a long time, because what that is accumulation. So it found support back here in April, found that twice, finally lost it in May, came back, made its new bottom there. That was a great run up there to $149, and that was July. Now, this was after the whole world just crashed in Bitcoin and everything, right? And this one pulled off that strong of a move. That's interesting. That's, huh. So right now we're just in a descending triangle pattern. And technically, is that right? Yeah, technically it broke out and then followed it down as a retracement. And it looks like we're just trading sideways right now. So we don't have the volume that we need for an official breakout to the upside of this. But to me, it's a good sign when it breaks out and goes sideways. I mean, it's not a terrible sign, because what it should do with this pattern, if it were bearish, would be to just fall to the bottom. So we need this area 54 to hold. If we'd start breaking that area, we will be looking at downward action, probably down to about $31. Might catch a break around here about 45. It's a possibility. So it really holds on this area right here, but it's holding. That's good. At worst, I would see it break down and maybe retest this trend line, and it could be this area about 45 cents. And that's just if things start going south for this coin. But right now, it's not showing any signs of doing that. It going sideways is, like I said, it's actually a good sign. It's accumulation is what's happening. So people are starting to buy into this, just slowly accumulating. The daily's got market cipher's got a red dot on it. Stochastics are kind of high and starting to come down. We may see a little bit of retracement here out of this coin. Let's see how bad it might be. That's up. That's up. That's not bad. I'm not seeing anything terrible. I'm just seeing sideways. And that's moving up. Let me check that. And that's moving up. So no major divergences that I see. Okay, so let's go down to a smaller time frame. And it is a lot the same. Got that crazy wick right there where they actually pumped and dumped it. Let's pull a Fibonacci here. Target areas I would put for this would be this 1618 at $75. Because I would expect the way that this is playing out, a lot of people will be trying to short that at that point. So it might be a good idea to take some profit there. Also at 72, right at $73, could be a good potential take profit area. But what we need to do is make it above $60, preferably about $61. If we can do that and hold it, things will be looking good. So let me mark that. On the short term, that's what we need to see. We need to see this come up to about $61 and hold that. If we see that, then we can expect more upside there. We just don't have the volume for a valid breakout here to the upside. So it looks like it would just continue going sideways. Now we can expand this just a little bit there, see if we get some more information. That was carrying the trend line on the bigger time frames on the closes, and it could extend out even more. And that kind of coincides with this level right here. Yeah, I really want to see this one go above $61 and hold that to be really bullish for some definite upside. But right now, it just looks like it's accumulation. People just kind of buying in. I don't see anything that's giving me an indication that it's getting ready for a big drop. But if it does, you know, these areas 54 and gosh, at worst case scenario, down there around $29, $30. If you see it break this area of $54. Okay. So I think we've made it down our list. I have not checked out Ethereum. Let me go ahead and do that. Ethereum is one that I like to trade against Bitcoin. Now, this is the dollar that I'm looking at here. And instantly what I can see on the 4 hours that we're getting ready to come up to retest this area up here around 1782 if things continue to the upside. And how does that pan out for a channel? Not that great. Looking at the 1 hour on Ethereum, starting to look a little bullish as long as we can get a bounce off of this 100 EMA at 1570. If we can stay above that, that looks pretty good. There's some divergence right there, though, which gave us our downtrend that we're in currently. So that was a sign to take profit right there with the bearish divergence coming in. Taking a look at volume here is coming down, as price is coming down. That gives us a potential to swing up. Although, if we look on the even smaller time frames, we do have kind of a bear flag, which could signal some more downward actions, and it is with the EMAs. So what I possibly see happening here, if the bear flag scenario pays out, we could be looking about 1485, 1486 for Ethereum, and that looks highly likely to me. So that would bring us back down to retest this area at the bottom. What formation would that put us in? So trend line to trend line to trend line, that gives us down on the 1 hour to the 200 EMA here. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I do see some downward areas here from anywhere on Ethereum from 1485 to this 200 EMA on the 1 hour of 1514 right through there. That could be the areas for a bounce. We would hope that we'd keep this trend line. If it doesn't keep that trend line, we're looking at coming back down here to the lower 1300s. If we do keep that, this is a bearish pattern, but we're seeing a lot of bearish patterns. It's another one that has a possibility, if it can break to the upside out of this, a strong move in the future. The biggest thing I would look at is just getting a bounce here at the 200 EMA in the bottom of this trend line. If we can do that, we've at least got the chance to come back up to the midpoint of this right around 1573. So for Ethereum, I think we'll be coming down and probably coming back up to this area to retest, and we'll have to reevaluate there. If not, all depends on this trend line. If it breaks that, we're coming down. All right, guys. Went through my list. If no one else has a request, give you just a few seconds to type something in if you do want to see something. I'll do one more coin from my list, which is AGIX. And this is singularity.net, and it's one that I like to use for Bitcoin. So this is the AGIX Bitcoin chart. And this worked out very well for us here at the channel. Right back here, able to double our Bitcoin because we just kind of pyramided in right through these zones, and then AGIX took off because it was showing the signs that it was getting ready to pop. Took profits into Bitcoin, ended up doubling my value there. And that is part of my strategy during these bottoms, where I start going heavier in on Bitcoin and I actually start trading in the Bitcoin pairs, especially when we start getting more into an uptrend or when altcoin season comes through. So with AGIX, I'm trying to do the same thing. Now, it's not come down to as low of levels, and it shouldn't. We kind of want to slowly stair step this thing up from bottom to bottom. And I want to go ahead and connect those two lines right there. But to me, I think it is getting ready to make another move over time. It's not going to just do it immediately, I don't believe, but we've already got it started in the works, bouncing off the 50 EMA. And we're on the 1 hour there. Let me go to the bigger time frame because they have a little bit more weight. But my idea here is wash, rinse, repeat. Buy this in Bitcoin or US dollars while it's at its low areas. When we get another pump up to the upside, which it will happen, this coin does do that, and this coin actually is a good coin to be in, because I think they moved over to Cardano. They're behind the Sophia robot, the AI. Ben Gerskell is over the project. I have a lot of faith in him. But the 4 hour is showing some downside right now. And for me, this has been accumulation zone, but the game plan for me is to wait till we ride back up to this trend line that I'm following right here, and should be able to at least double my Bitcoin again on this. So that's what I like about AGIX. That's what I like about Ethereum. That's something else that I do with Ethereum too, trading that to Bitcoin, because that chart is a little bit different from our dollar chart, right? It's a good, savvy way, old school way to grow your Bitcoin. I made a video about this when my channel first started with this huge cup and handle, and it gave a list that I would be buying in from 56 on up to, 78, I believe was the range that I had. And I've been doing that, and I accumulated even lower into the 50s. And since Ethereum is an oscillator as far as Bitcoin goes, it gives you a good chance to grow your Bitcoin with Ethereum. So I get heavy in on Ethereum when we're down at some bottoms, and looks like we've broken out of this. This cup and handle is going to play out at some point. Target area is 0.14 to 0.15 in Bitcoin. That's a double. So when it does that, I'll be selling half of my ETH into Bitcoin, taking that as my profit. And that's just how I like to play this game. But it's a long one. It's a long one. So if you're holding both Ethereum and Bitcoin, you can trade them off of each other as Ethereum goes higher, and you can grow them back and forth, just trading those two pairs. And old school method works really good. A lot of people forgot about that since Ethereum has come in and introduced stablecoins. We've gotten away from some of those cool old school ways. Good trick to put in your arsenal, though. All right, no one's got any more requests, so we'll just go ahead and call this as the end of the stream. Hope this has been some valuable information. Feel free to request any coins, any comments, suggestions that you have. More than welcome. But until next time, my name is Lane, your crypto road dog. Wishing you the best, reminding you that you are in crypto at one of the best times to be in to change your life. So if you've been stuck in a 9-to-5 that you just totally hate, barely making it by, you are who I'm trying to reach, because I was there before, and this has helped lift me out of that situation so that I can work in my pajamas, Halloween pajamas. This is what I do now. This doesn't even pay. Okay, it's all the crypto. This is what's working for me, and I would love to see it work for other people too. This is a chance to change your life. And you just got to get in and just learn. TA. It's not hard. I promise. Just keep watching. Ask me questions. I'll show you what I got. It's a simple, it's not as hard as it looks. And that's what kept me out of doing this for a long time. I've been in crypto since 2013, but it wasn't until 2020 when I learned, and I forced myself to learn TA, thinking it's going to be like rocket science, which is not. It's actually fun, kind of like doing a puzzle. Okay. You're trying to solve these little puzzles. But my whole channel is dedicated to making this easy for people that's coming into it. Just want to learn TA. Yeah, I'm giving away everything that I've learned for free, not charging, because this is our chance. This is our lifetime. This is our once in a lifetime chance to just change our monetary position, make generational, life-changing wealth that we can pass down to our family, take care of our families. And you're blessed to be in this at this time. So thank you for joining me today. And until next time, my name is Lane. Reminding you, you've got this. Be blessed. Be positive. I'll see you on the next time.